Good morning and welcome to the September 19th meeting of the Henderson County Fiscal Court. We're glad you're here. We're glad you're here, and we're going to start as we always do with an invocation, and I'll be delivering that myself, so would you all please stand. Dear Heavenly Father, please bless us today and every day as we work together to govern this county. Guide our decisions. Please watch over our citizens and the well-meaning people of this world. We ask these things in the name of your mercy and wisdom. Amen. Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Magistrate Todd.
Here.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Here.
Magistrate Putman.
Here.
Magistrate Warren.
Here.
And Magistrate Alexander.
Here. Thank you. And gentlemen, you have before you the minutes of the September 5th, 2017 Fiscal Court meeting, and after a period of review, I'll entertain a motion to accept those.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any corrections, clarifications, or additions? Thank you. Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
And Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Thank you. I'd like to call to the podium Humane Society Director Angela Hagedorn for her update, please.
Has everyone received the reports?
Yes,
We haven't been back yet.
Does anyone have any questions concerning those?
You may mention what you told me about Humane Society absorbing the...
Yes, as you noticed that we did have a loss for animal control in August. However, the Humane Society was able to absorb those costs. We had two large insurance payments that had come out, plus we had a big seizure of dogs, and they required a lot of medical care. So that was another place that the animal control was hit on our budget this time, but Humane Society was able to absorb those costs. So we are still doing well. I also want to commend the fiscal court. You guys were the leaders of getting the grant that I'm seeking for the community cats, getting that underway. Once I have one county left to contact, but all the rest of the counties, it was a simple phone call, explained that I had Henderson County's fiscal court's support, and I explained to them about the program, and people jumped on board. So I greatly appreciate that. So hopefully by tomorrow I'll have the last county that will agree to it, and then the preliminary part will be finished, and then we can proceed forward. So I'm excited about that.
Good.
Excellent. Any other questions of Angela?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to commend you. You're doing an excellent job. And
Thank you.
Since you've been on board, I haven't had any calls about animals to my knowledge. None.
Thank you.
I even had, I was telling her I had a lady, I think she said it was a cat, adopted a cat, and she said it was pleasant to go down there and go through the process, and no problem. So,
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I greatly appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to call Renisa Abner up to give us a county clerk's report.
All right, I have payments to the Henderson County Treasurer for the month of August 2017. The excess fees for the month, $67,585.89, for a grand total for August, $102,726.68. It's a little bit less than last year, and that's because at this point we had already had our tax sale. We had our tax sale in August of last year, and we're having it in September of this year. It's because we had, whenever we got some bills, we got them a little later. So we're having it a little later, but the revenue will be back up next month, so we'll bump back up. So
Deal.
In a
Any
month.
questions?
September will be big anyway.
It
won't
will, yeah, it will.
As far as I know, the data collected from the opt-out period has been transferred to you and sent on to data design, and they're preparing the property tax bills now, and that has gone smoothly so far.
So far,
Good deal.
yes, I have some bill samples in my office today to go over and approve, so we're right on track.
Excellent. Any other questions of Renisa? Motion to accept her report.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any other questions? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
And Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Thank you, Renisa. Gentlemen, you have in your packet the sheriff's report, and unless Sheriff Brady would like to add anything to that, we can entertain a motion to accept his report.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
And Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Thank you. I'd like to call Treasurer Brenda Ryder up. Update on claims, please.
Thank you, Brenda.
These are your bank balances after paying claims today. Your day-to-day expense line item should be at approximately 25%. And I have several claims to add today. From the general fund, $2,199.99 to Ray Allen Manufacturing. This is for the Sheriff K-9 expense line item. Second claim is $1,586.45 to Classic Automotive. This is for sheriff vehicle repair. The third claim is to Tom DeMar and Sons, $750. This is for courthouse custodial electrical work. From the jail fund, the amount of $644.86 to Wells Fargo Financial Leasing. This is data processing expense for the copier lease. Also from the jail fund, Corson Fire and Security, which is for fire alarm inspection services for the detention center. From the LGEA fund, $3,200 to Pool Volunteer Fire Department. This is the budgeted appropriation for fiscal year 18, where the Henderson County Fire Departments are being reimbursed for their insurance. The last claim in the amount of $598 to Fast Print, and this is recycling the 1718 Kentucky Pride Grant.
One clarification on the contribution to Pool Fire Department. We're not actually reimbursing their insurance expense. This is our kind of nominal flatline fee that we send to them to help them because they do respond to calls in the county. So, clarify. Another item to clarify, the Finance Committee met yesterday and met with representatives of myriad CPA groups to talk about a change order in their work on both our 2014-15 and 2015-16 audits, and because of a variety of circumstances that the Finance Committee discussed, they had an additional change order adding $14,000 and a little bit more than that. What's the total, Brenda?
$14,737.52.
Not an insignificant amount, but we had a long discussion about the reasons for that, and I'll defer to Magistrate Putman or Warren if they want to add any comments about that discussion.
Well, a lot of it was contributed to. Of course, rules have changed in Frankfurt, and there were some things that had to go back and required more time, more looking into, more forms to fill out, and that created a huge, $14,000. So, And we didn't like it, to say the least, but it is what it is. They performed the work, and
And it was a negotiated price in that they actually, I think, originally had asked for $21,000.
The original engagement letter for each of these audits that we're discussing was $31,000.
Originally.
And then there is the clause in there that you could incur additional charges.
After some discussion also with the principals at Myriad, they do understand that we want to do everything we can possible not to exceed the amount that we've set aside for audits in our line item budget this year, and they're very well of that, very aware of that. And if they bid on the next audit, I think that their bid will reflect the change order that they have put on us this for these audits, the current audits. So I think in the end, especially over a 2-year fiscal year period here, it'll even out. And
yeah.
that's the word that the Finance Committee got yesterday from Jack Somerville, and so we're confident that in the end this won't force us to exceed our line items.
Yeah.
So.
And we don't anticipate any problems going forward with this, but it's kind of a redo. Correct me if I'm wrong. They had to go back to 15s, and there was some redo you had to do on that because the rules changed with, I guess, the new auditor in Frankfurt.
They call work papers. The work papers changed.
Work papers, yeah. That.
Yeah. Their processes and guidelines have switched in Frankfurt, and so in many respects, the Myriad CPA had to start from scratch, and it cost more.
Judge, one other thing that I brought up too that I think we may, and I'll go ahead and bring it up here, is that for the other magistrates, currently we are contracting annually for these audits. But just like here, and it may be something we want to look at as far as contracting for or bidding for maybe a 2 or 3 year term, so we get a little bit more consistency and get a better, I think, working relationship with somebody. And then on the 4th year, it is the state auditors come in. But conceivably, we could be changing auditors every year if the bids were to change. And I think it would be beneficial for Brenda, maybe in the next budget year or when we do this next contract, that we at least consider the options of doing that.
Perhaps with a no change order clause
Yes,
as well.
exactly.
Yeah.
And part of that is
Yes.
determined by the state,
Right.
determined, which is basically looked at whether the county is a single audit or a regular audit because of federal grants. And
Right.
usually the process goes, the state calls the county and says, yes, they can do it, or no, they can't, gives the county permission to seek
Right.
other avenues.
Yeah. It's, what is it, bid low and change often, right?
Well,
Amazing how that happens. Yeah.
Well, I think the judge made that perfectly clear that the budget is,
Yeah.
and that's what we're going to pay.
Right.
So
Did they give us a bid on that process?
It was a professional service, and there wasn't an actual bid. In 2015, the state was committed to do the audit, and in November of 2015, they notified the judge's office that because of workforce and that sort of thing, the state were not able to do it, and gave the judge's office permission to seek an independent auditor. And it was a professional service, so there wasn't actually a bid process done.
But we have the choice then to continue a
Yes.
professional service or bid it out if we choose.
Yes, sir.
Next time around.
Or do a request for proposals.
Right.
And that is another option. If the state can't do it, a request for proposal would be through the state, and that would use the audit firm that the state has hired to do the audits that they couldn't do.
if I understood correctly too, that the one we're doing with Myra is a more thorough than what the state actually does. Is that a correct statement, Judge?
I think it could be characterized by some that way, yeah.
Yeah.
Very,
it's-
very much so.
Yeah.
And I welcome that.
Yeah.
So just wanted to explain that claim. Any other comments or questions about
On the
claims?
claims, on the other thing was, I think, because I know I have received calls on this, and that is the demolition of buildings that need to be torn down. And so you'll see, I think, is it in the roads area?
It's in the general section, which is page 5 of 6.
Okay.
Tompkins Hauling.
That's right. The 19,000.
That amount, $19,600, is actually for 4 structures: demolition of a house in Spotsville, and then a demolition of a house, and 3 other
Right.
extra structures with
So
that.
I think it's one of those services that we're providing, but I think it's good that we have that money in there, but it is a large amount. But for the neighbors to these properties, I know they're happy that it's been taken care of.
Yeah, if you recall in the budget sessions, the workshops, we devoted more money to that particular need because we've all felt we needed to be more aggressive, and I think it's beginning to show. Any other questions of Brenda on claims? We need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
And Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Thank you. We also have second reading of a flow-through grant, CDBG grant for Hanson's Aluminum. This is the $1 million they got in community development block grants to help with the purchase of equipment, and it will flow through our budget as a pass-through. The good news on this is that repayment of this loan, this grant, will accrue to Kindle to use as a revolving loan fund for local businesses, provide gap funding. First time we've had a countywide revolving loan fund that would do this, so it's a net win kind of all around, but we do need to have second reading to reflect it as a flow-through on our budget, correct?
Yes. This is amending into the budget for this current fiscal year $1 million into the grants fund as income, as well as $1 million as expense in the grants fund.
Any questions about that?
Judge, where is Hanson? Just curiosity, where is that property that we've sold them?
Well, they bought a property next to Hydro Aluminum at the Riverport that was owned by Hydro Aluminum.
It's right down from
It's right on 136.
it, directly right on 136. Okay.
Yeah, Hydro owned all the way from their building all the way out to 136.
And they bought the road frontage from them then?
Yeah, and I think it was approximately, 15,
Okay.
14 acres.
I was curious of where that spot was, but it's,
Yeah.
okay.
So we need second reading on this? Master, you need to read it again, the ordinance?
I think Brenda just took care of that.
I think you
Okay.
just need to vote on it now.
Okay, accept a motion.
So move.
Second.
Any other questions? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
And Magistrate Alexander.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. County Attorney Steve Gold, your report, please.
Judge, I've got a couple of things today. The first thing is payments. Got several checks today, supplement to an assistant county attorney's salary, a reimbursement for that, $458.33. Health, dental, and life insurance, several checks, $7,575.24, $246.93, $25.18. An Aflac reimbursement of $25.20, an interest check of $34.33, bringing today's total to $8,365.21, and the fiscal year total to date to $35,264.33.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to accept county attorney payments?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions of Steve? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
And Magistrate Alexander.
Gentlemen, we have with us today some guests who are going to be talking to us shortly about a very serious problem that the entire state is experiencing. Certainly Northwest Kentucky is not immune. The opioid crisis and how counties here in the state may be able to recoup some funds that have accrued, costs that have accrued to us because of this, and I'll let Steve introduce our guest today.
We have with us Jeff Gaddy from Pensacola, Florida, the law firm of Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor. You may see on a draft legal services agreement, his firm's at the top. I'm assuming because it's the longest name on there, Jeff, is that the? But they're, as some of you have may have read, there are several counties around the state that are looking at suits against opioid distributors. And I would suggest to the court that we go into executive session to discuss pending or proposed litigation.
So I need a motion to go into executive session for the reasons Steve just gave.
So move.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other questions about this? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
And Magistrate Alexander.
I'd like to invite Sheriff Ed Brady to join us for this session real quick. Shouldn't take very long. We're going to go back and discuss these proposals, and we'll be back shortly. Executive session to discuss possible pending litigation, and I'll entertain a motion to come out of executive session, please.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? Please vote.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
And Magistrate Alexander.
We've heard a presentation on possible potential litigation against contributors to the opioid addiction crisis in our state and in our county. And after discussion, we have a resolution that we would like to read that would give the county the ability to join other counties in Kentucky to help possibly recover some damages against potential violators of opioid and controlled substance law. And I'd like to ask the fiscal court clerk to read this resolution.
Whereas the county is experiencing serious opioid use as a result of the ready availability of the drug and its abuse, and whereas the county desires to retain the law firms identified herein to advise and represent the county regarding litigation and the award of damages from the contributors of opioids within the county. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Fiscal Court of the County of Henderson, Kentucky as follows. Section 1. The Fiscal Court, as the governing body of the county, hereby authorizes and approves the employment of the law firms identified in the legal services agreement attached hereto and incorporated herein as Exhibit A to represent the county in potential litigation against contributors of the opioid addiction crisis. Section 2. The Fiscal Court hereby authorizes and approves or confirms authorization and approval of the legal services agreement substantially in the form attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference thereto as Exhibit A, and directs the judge executive to execute and enter into the legal services agreement with the law firms, setting forth the scope of the work to be performed by the law firms, including litigation against contributors to the opioid addiction crisis within the county, and the terms and conditions of the employment of the law firms. The legal services agreement may be amended after approval of this resolution without further action of the fiscal court with the approval of the judge executive, whose signature on the legal services agreement shall be evidence of such approval. Section 3. If any section, paragraph, or provision of this resolution shall be held to be invalid or unenforceable for any reason, the invalidity or unenforceability of such section, paragraph, or provision shall not affect any of the remaining provisions of this resolution. Section 4. The resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after its adoption as provided by law.
Entertain a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? I would like to say that this is a contingency contract that will not cost the county money up front, and any monies successfully recovered, the contingency the law firms we're hiring will be paid out of that. And we hope that any damages that may accrue to the county will be used to help mitigate and fight the opioid crisis that we are experiencing in the moment, and many other counties are as well. Any other comments or suggestions? We have a motion and a second. Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
And Magistrate Alexander.
Thank you. Appreciate your presentation, and we'll be in contact shortly. For the good of the county, would anybody else in the audience like to come up and address fiscal court? Magistrate Pubman, any comments?
Thank you, Judge. All good in the fourth. Thank you.
Magistrate Warren?
I have one thing I'd like for the court to consider, and I don't know whether this would be a motion that would be defined today, and Carter and I have talked about this a little bit as well, is due to the status of the home building and just maybe construction in general, I'd like for the county to look at some type of, say, tier level or completely voiding the permit fee for home building. So it may be, and I've made some notes here, one of the things I thought about would be like, if it's $200,000 or less, there would be no charge for the building permit. And I believe it's on, Carter, correct me if I'm wrong, or Bill, in the 1% of the construction.
What is the building permit? Is it 1%? Yeah, 1%.
And then say if it's 201,000 home value, say up to $500,000, maybe we discount it 50%. But for that homeowner that is in that $150,000, $200,000 price range, $1,000, again, is substantial to their total. So I'd like for it at least maybe, and Carter, give your thoughts, but I'd like for us to look at, maybe have Randy to come at the next court meeting and say what would be impact be, because at this point, I believe Henderson County and city combined is only permitted 21 homes. So I don't financially think it's going to be a drain, but I don't know what the impact. I don't want to cause a negative cash flow either in Randy's department.
Under the KRS, George, the codes department is set up under a facility. It's not to make money, but it's to recoup the costs of the inspections and things of that nature. And that's how the permit fees were set up, was basically to be able to recover the fees, the costs of operating that office. And so if you're looking at trying to do any kind of concession or reduction, we need to look at the income versus expenditures of that department.
Why don't we do this, George? If you and Magistrate Wilkerson would be so inclined, you can form a brief committee and gather as you see fit, and say come back in 1 month, the second fiscal court meeting in October, with a suggestion.
Yeah.
After doing research on issues like this, and you can meet as you like, and then come back with a proposal.
Yeah, I think if we can encourage home building, I think it'll be beneficial. But we'll Carter,
Does that give you enough time, 1 month?
And may even look at some other incentives that other cities have as well.
There's a building permit, and then the inspection fee is separate, right?
All the inspections that are required by the Kentucky building codes that are done by Mr. Tasso or myself on the construction is covered in the permit fee. The only additional permit inspection fees are the ones that are incurred by plumbing or electrical.
And
All the
HVAC.
framing, footing, foundation, finals, occupancy, and that's where those number of inspection, because there's a minimum number of inspections that are required in the construction process. And that's covered in our fee. There is no additional ones that are required. If we have to go out there 6 times to make sure all the things are corrected for a 4 inspection thing, and you have to go out there 6 more times, that's all covered. We don't charge any additional. Our job is to make sure that the building process enforcement is ensured that the construction is done according to the code.
And you can save these questions for your committee meetings, and I know there are a lot of other questions involved here, but if you're good with meeting in 1 month, we will expect that, and we'll set it on the agenda, and feel free to go for it.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
I want to kind of thank the road department again, graveling all the farm-driven gravel roads, because with harvesting, y'all have done a yeoman's job.
Magistrate Alexander?
I have nothing like that at this point. I do have a little question. Is this October, the next meeting is the 3rd and the 24th, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Because of
Yes.
5 Tuesdays.
Exactly. So it's 3rd and 24th, okay. I'm good, thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Magistrate Wilkerson?
Everything's good, thank you.
Magistrate Todd?
I'm good, thank you, Judge.
Mr. Gold?
Last Friday, I had the pleasure, kind of like someone would say pleasure about maybe getting a root canal or something like that, to address the Kentucky Judiciary Committee on behalf of the County Attorneys Association. And just a couple of things that I want to make sure the fiscal court is aware of. Governor Bevin has indicated he's looking for a 17.4% across the board cut to all state offices, and I wanted to talk to you about the impact that would have on the Henderson County Attorney's Office. Of course, we have folks that are county employees. We have people that are state employees. Our prosecution unit is all state employees, and our child support unit is through a contract through the state. The impact on prosecution would be about $61,800 per office, which would mean that 1 in 4 of all assistant county attorneys and support staff around the state would have to be cut. And every county attorney's office in the state would have to shut its doors March 1, 2017 for 2018 for prosecution purposes. So that is something that we're very concerned about. If you do happen to be talking to any state legislators or anyone in the executive branch that makes decisions, typically the governors in the past, when they have done deficit reduction plans, have exempted law enforcement and prosecutors. If you could help us put that bug in their ear that they need to do that again, because cases piling up between March 1 and July 1. Number one, I probably wouldn't have any staff left. Laura and Andrew probably would find jobs elsewhere because they can't just be gone for that long with no income. So we would be getting July 1 with a brand new staff that would have to be trained in and a huge backlog of cases. So that is something that would not be beneficial for the Commonwealth. And if you do happen to be around somebody that is in a decision-making capacity there, if you could help put that bug in there, we'd appreciate it. And Jeff, thank you for being here today. Really appreciate you coming from Florida to come talk to us about this. I think it's a very important thing. Consider the Henderson County Attorney's Office, your boots on the ground here to any extent that we can help with this litigation. Please let us know. Even if the governor does cut our prosecution side, I do have, thanks to the fiscal court, some county resources where we can help you, and we're certainly glad to do that because we see the results of this opioid crisis every day through dependency, neglect, and abuse of children, property crimes committed for people to gain the drugs, DUIs. It's gotten to the point where it's kind of quaint to see somebody with an alcohol DUI. Just about always it's some form of pills. Increased felony cases and Casey's Law cases where we work with families of those that are addicted to try to get them into drug treatment. So we're seeing an increase in all of these things, and anything that we can do to help mitigate this, we certainly want to do. So thank you again for being here today.
Judge.
Sheriff Brady.
Steve brought up a point that I'd like to address. I met with the state police commissioner yesterday in Frankfort. They've also been asked to reduce their budget by 17%. They're 200 troopers short now. The only way they can do that is to cut people. They can't cut anymore. They're driving cruisers with 250,000 miles on them. I would just like to ask Bruce, I think you're still the president of the Magistrates Association, and Judge, if you have influence with the judges, and myself with the Sheriff's Association, I'm going to ask our executive director if he'll write some kind of letter to the governor's office asking that they exempt prosecutors and law enforcement from that 17% cut, because it's an impossible cut, and it affects our communities directly in the worst sort of way if you can't arrest and prosecute people. And I think if some other associations would kind of go to bat for the County Attorneys Association, that might be helpful, and the governor kind of maybe easing up. I don't know what the penalty is if you don't cut 17%. I don't think that's been described yet. But I say it's impossible, Steve, for you to cut 17% and some other state groups that affect our lives every day. And I think we need to go to bat for a few of those if you all think it's appropriate. Now I'm going to ask the Sheriff's Association to do that.
I was going to ask you if Keiko could.
And Keiko is being very helpful. They're Ellen Williams, who is working with CAECO, was with us last Friday and has been very helpful with that. One thing that we had to make sure, what a lot of people don't realize, is from the state for prosecution, we are 99% salary. County attorney's offices are. They give us $3,000 a year for operating expenses. That doesn't pay for a whole lot of toner, paper, pens, all of the other things that you need. So when they cut, we are cutting people, and that's something that just like KSP, there's not a whole lot of fat to be trimmed there. So that's something it will. And also, I'll say public defenders. There have to be people on both sides of the ball to have a football game. So if we are to have a justice system that moves along, they need to make sure that cuts to the justice system don't occur, because it is a risk to public safety. Thank you.
I would say that any draft language or letters of support that these state associations can provide, fiscal court would help. I don't know when the deadline is for successfully cutting 17% is, or if they've even made a mention of a deadline for making those cuts.
He wants proposals by October 1st. Under the law, it has to be under an approved deficit reduction plan, which actually wouldn't go into effect until about December 1st. So that would turn, because we're paying 100% to this point, and so every month that goes by and every pay period that goes by, it makes the effective cut for the remainder of the year that much more. If it were to go into effect October 1, it would be a 48% cut to prosecutors around the state. If it goes in December 1st, it's more like a 62% cut. So it gets devastating.
So again, I'd if you wouldn't mind, if you can get support language from your state associations that we can see and distribute here among ourselves, and then utilize a pretty decent talking points with people we come in contact with at the state level, that'd help, I think. So I'll keep my remarks to supporting and giving a very hearty here to what Steve had to say, and we look forward to seeing how this opioid issue works itself out. I know the state, Andy Bashir's office, is thinking about getting involved in this litigation as well, and whatever the final form takes, as long as counties can have access to some sort of resources to help fight this, we'd appreciate that. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Got it.
Motion and a second. All those in favor can leave.